Today we're going to be looking at how to use models to help us solve for decimal division. Now you guys have actually already learned how to do the standard algorithm for decimal division. So we're kind of working backwards and we're going to show you the model second. And hopefully it's going to help make a little bit more sense of the models. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to break down this problem together, figure out how we're going to solve it, and then I'm going to show you how to use the models to solve it. So let's start here. Okay, I'm going to get my marker so I can code my problem. This Angela has enough wood to make a picture frame with a perimeter of 2.4 meters, or 2 4/10 of a meter. She wants the frame to be a square. What will the length of each side of the frame be? So the first thing we're going to do is identify our question. Our question is here. It's usually at the end of the problem. What will the length of each side of the frame be? So then I need to look at my problem and say, well, what do I know about the length? What does it tell me? It doesn't tell me the length yet. Each side, what does it tell me about the sides? She wants the frame to be a square. Oh, okay. So if the frame is going to be a square, it's going to have 4 sides. Okay. Now, what do I need to know about the length? Picture a frame with a perimeter of 2.4 inches. Now, if you guys remember, perimeter is the area outside of something, okay? It's the distance around something. So if she's going to have a perimeter of 2.4 meters, that means all her sides together are going to be 2.4 meters. So 2.4 meters is the total of all of her sides. So if I'm starting with a total and I need to break the total apart, I'm going to be doing division. And it's a square, so the 4 sides are going to be equally. So I can divide these 4 sides equally, or the 2.4 equally by 4. So we're going to do that. I'm going to get rid of this so we have some room to work. So basically our problem is going to be 2, oops, I should use the marker, the new marker, hopefully. 2.4 divided by 4. So that's going to be what we're going to need to do to get our answer. Now remember, the thing that is being split up is what goes inside the box. So it would be 2.4 divided by 4. Okay, so in division, it's not always, what you're going to learn, especially when we're into decimals and fractions, it's not always the bigger number that goes inside the box. It's what is getting split up. So in this case, we're splitting up the total into 4 to figure out the size of each side. Okay, now, I could just do this way, and you guys know how to do this, but today we're going to look a little bit about how to use a model to kind of show that. So one of the ways that we use models is with our hundredths grids. Okay, so remember when we were using these models, the whole square stands for 1. So we're going to use a hundredths grid to help us do this. The whole hundredths grid stands for 1. It's just like these hundreds grids that you use for whole numbers, except now we're going to use them for decimals. So this whole grid of 100 squares is going to stand for 1. And each little square inside is a hundredth. So this is 1. And remember, a whole row of the square is a tenth. So this is going to be a tenth. And then one little square is a hundredth. So this is going to represent a hundredth. So we could do these on our desks or on our tables by taking these and like breaking them apart into groups. Or what's even easier is drawing them out and breaking them apart into groups. So we're going to draw the number 2.4. And remember, a hundredths grid, a whole hundredths grid equals 1. So we're going to do 2 wholes. We're going to use squares to represent those, big squares for our hundredths grids. And 0.4, so 4 tenths. So one row, remember, of your hundredths grid is a tenth. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So this number represents 2.4, so 2 wholes and 4 tenths. We need to split it into 4 groups. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, just to make it easier for myself. You don't have to draw the circles. But so I'm going to start splitting it up. So I have 4 tenths, so I can very easily put 1 tenth in each group, right? All right, so I can do that. Now, I use those, so I'm going to cross those out. I have 2 wholes. I can't put a hole in each group because I only have 2 of them. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to take one of these holes, and I'm going to have to split it up, and I'm going to have to change it in for tenths because tenths I can divide up. So I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 tenths because there's 10 tenths in one whole. Okay, remember that if you're looking at the grid. You have one whole. When you split it into tenths, you have 10 rows. So I'm going to trade that in for 10 tenths. Now I'm going to put one in each group. So I have 4 groups. So I'm going to start with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One in each group. I'm going to take another 1, 2, 3, 4. One in each group. Now I have 2 left over. Well, I don't have enough to put one in each group. And then I still have this other one whole over here. So I'm going to have to break this apart into tenths as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? All right. So now I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I can put 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 left. The nice thing about today's problems is they're going to work out evenly for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now here is my answer. In each of the 4 groups, I've put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the answer is going to be 6 tenths, or you can write it 0.6. Okay? And if you were to divide it out, 4 does not go into 2, but 4 goes into 24 6 times. And you have a decimal here, so you put the decimal one place in there. So you have 6 tenths. So that would be how you would do that. Now, when you're doing a problem that both of the numbers have decimals, it's a little bit different, okay? So let's say we have something like 1 and 8 tenths, but we're dividing it by 6 tenths. So now both of these numbers have decimals. So now we're not going to split it into 6 tenths groups. So the last one I split it into 4 equal groups. But this time what I'm going to do is this is going to tell me how many are in each group. So this is, in this case, how many are in each group. Okay? So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to make 6 groups because that's not the number 6, it's 6 tenths. Now what that's telling me is I have to make groups that each have 6 tenths in them. So how many groups of 6 tenths can I make is what this is asking me. Now remember, 0.6, 6 tenths is the same thing. We can drop that 0. It makes things a little easier for us, right? So again, if I was going to draw a model, I would have one whole, which is a whole grid. This is what I'm dividing. I'm splitting this up. And then it's one whole and 8 tenths. So I'm going to have 8 rows, okay? So I'm going to have one whole. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which is almost 2 wholes, by the way. And what I have to do is I have to split them into groups of 6 tenths. So each of my groups has to have 6 tenths in them. So I'm going to start with my tenths because that's the easiest thing. I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and I'm going to put them in a group. Okay, so that's one group. It's done. I've made one group of 6 tenths. Now over here, I only have 2 tenths. So I don't have enough to make a group yet. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come over to here. I'm going to have to take this, and I'm going to have to trade it in for tenths so that I can split it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now to finish this group, I have 2, I need 6, so I have to take 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to take these 4 and put them in this group. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 2 groups of 6 tenths I've now made. And then I'm going to look here, and I'm going to hope I have 6. Okay? So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I was able to make 3 groups of 6 tenths. Now, if you were doing the division out the long way, if it's written this way, the first number goes inside the box. So you have 1 and 8 tenths divided by 6 tenths. Remember, if there's a decimal in your divisor, you have to move it to the end. And however many places you move this decimal, you have to move this one. So it's going to end up becoming 18 divided by 6. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And so if we were to divide, 6 doesn't go into 1, but it goes into 18 3 times. The decimal's at the end. Put the decimal at the end. 3 points is the same thing as 3. So both ways we've ended up with the correct answer. So here is how you do it, but here is how it's represented with the models and what you're actually doing. All right, what I would like you to do is before we come to centers, I would like you guys to use your whiteboards and draw a model to solve this problem. So Lee is making reusable shopping bags. She has 3.6 yards of fabric. She needs 0.3 yards for each bag. How many shopping bags can she make? So she has a total of 3.6 yards, and each bag will take 3/10 of a yard. So you have to see how many groups of 3/10 you can make out of 3.6. So I'd like you to pause here and use the models and try to figure that out.